to you live from Roundhouse Studios in Knock'em-Stiff, Ohio. It's American Exceptionalism with Scooter.
He has all the ingredients for disaster.
And El Scorcho.
He wants to be human.
American Exceptionalism is the place to highlight everything exceptional about the greatest nation on the planet.
It's gonna be awesome.
And now, Scooter and El Scorcho.
All right, Scooter and El Scorcho up in this house. What's happening? Scooter, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's another day in America, the best damn country on the face of the earth.
Can I get an amen?
Yes, sir. All right. Hey, what'd you do this weekend? You play golf?
I did.
You still stink?
No, pretty good. Lost a tight match.
Went
down to the last hole.
Did it really?
Yeah.
That's what she said.
High dollar. High dollar for all you golfers out there. Dollar Point Daytona. Lost by 14 points. $14.
Is that big or is that close?
That's not much in the game of Daytona.
Is it really?
Yeah.
This thing's huge. You lose by 2 touchdowns in football, you suck.
Yeah. $14 in Daytona. Dollar Point Daytona is not much out there, sports fans.
Well, I'm pretty good at golf.
Oh, yeah? Did you go out to the range, practice your move?
I did a golf outing where they let you pay $20 and tee off with an AR-15.
Oh, yeah?
It was good. I drove the green.
Kapow!
I don't think they let me. That's what they all let you do is just pack your AR in your golf bag. That'd be something to see. You see that on the PGA?
No. Negative Ghost Rider.
14th hole, pulls out his AR, tees off, dog leg left. You know what I mean? I think that'd be bring a little more excitement to the game.
Well, that could be like a modern day Caddyshack. You know that scene in Caddyshack where he's standing there with his sickle, and he's, I think it's about an 8-iron.
Yeah.
And he's taking out the plants at Bushwood Country Club. No gambling allowed.
Bark like a dog. Oh, so hey man, listen. This is episode 1 of what we like to call American Exceptionalism.
You got a pool over there? We have a pond in the back. We have a pool and a pond. A pond would be good for you. Natural spring. Oh.
Sorry, I had to give you the Caddyshack there.
Don't sell yourself short. You're an incredible slouch. Episode 1, American Exceptionalism. This is where we like to highlight all things great and exceptional about the best and the greatest country on the face of the planet, which is the United States of America. I'm El Scorcho, not my real name. We'll go into that later. Across from me is Scooter, not his real name, but his nickname came about from a funny story, which we will go into later. But anyway, Scooter and El Scorcho, why start this podcast? Well, I'll tell you, we are friends, our families have been friends for several years. And over the course of those years, Scooter and I are sitting around talking, and we're just sick and tired of hearing everything that's wrong with this country, everything that's negative, everything that it's done. It's just being trashed, thrown under the bus, run over, backed up, run over again. And we're tired of it. And we thought together we might be able to put something out there that is positive, that Americans would be able to tune into and listen and see and hear something positive about the greatest country that they live in, the greatest country on the face of the earth that they live in. So what we are going to do with this podcast is we're going to highlight or accentuate people, places, things, events, whatever we can come up with, and talk about what's good about those events and why those go towards making this country what it is today and the greatest that it is. So it's something that it's kind of near and dear to our hearts. We both are staunch proponents of freedom. And we love our freedom, and we want to see it defended. We're tired of seeing it trampled on. We're tired of seeing it infringed upon. But at the same time, we're not going to spend 25, 30 minutes of your time and just bitch and complain about everything that's done wrong or everything we disagree with. If you want to hear that, if you want to see that, all you have to do is turn on the TV at any point in time, any news channel.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, pick your poison. We got endless streams of social media, whether you go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever the case may be, like Scooter said, pick your poison. There's always somebody trashing the United States of America. We have, everybody in Hollywood, no big news there, right? That's not anything new, but now it's become vogue for an athlete, whether professional or collegiate. Even we've seen it down at the collegiate levels, even some in the high school levels, they want to protest America. They want to use that as a platform to push their message or drive an agenda further. And for me, shut up. Okay. Play the game.
Can I get an amen?
Yes. Okay. That's why we like watching professional football, professional baseball. We don't want to hear or see their agenda. We want to see the greatest athletes in the world compete at the highest level in the sport of our choosing. The latest example, right, makes me sick, and I'm just going to throw it out there. We got the U.S. Competing in the Olympics. It's 2021 Olympics in Tokyo, and we have U.S. athletes using that as a platform to protest against America while they're competing for America, wearing the United States uniform, United States colors. It's disgusting. There couldn't be anything more hypocritical. So we're just tired of that and seeing that, hearing those kind of things. So we thought up the idea of this podcast so we can go out and get in touch with anything and everything, anyone that does something great or exceptional and that further drives the United States of America forward in making it the greatest country on the face of the planet.
Yeah, couldn't say it better. It's gets quite ridiculous. And our first guest today is going to be somebody that you won't find him bitching about America. He loves America. He's not even from America. Born and raised in Romania.
Romania.
Came over, got U.S. citizenship, did it the right way. And all these people that want to complain about America and take stance and use their different platforms to trash the greatest country on earth, to me, is just despicable. One of the issues we're fighting in this country is at our southern border. I mean, the lines of people that are coming up through Mexico, from Central America and everything. I don't see any other country on the planet where people are lining up, eluding border patrol. They want to get in, and they want to get in for a reason. It is great here in America. And to have the American people who lived here and were born into and take American citizenship for granted, to me, it's just despicable. So again, we're not going to turn this into a bitch session like El Scorcho said, but we're going to highlight, we will have a segment of the program. We're calling that the airing of grievances.
Yeah, it's impossible to talk about these kind of topics and not get fired up. So to help kind of a release valve, so we don't just go take this 25-minute time slot and just turn it into a bitch session, we have a segment called, like Scooter said, the airing of grievances. Cue up the sound bite.
With the airing of grievances.
Oh, jeez.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
So we're going to take a cue from
Double
Seinfeld.
pleasure.
Yeah, we got it twice the pleasure there. We're going to take a cue from Seinfeld, and we're going to, like I said, we're going to have like a release valve. We're going to airing of grievances daily or weekly on the episodes, and it's going to give each of us an opportunity to pick one topic. You got 5 minutes. We'll start the clock, and man, you can rant for 5 minutes. Get it off your chest. It's not healthy. Bottle that stuff up. Somebody's going to explode. You're going to have an aneurysm or something. So we got to release that, but you got 5 minutes. You give it all you got, and if you get it done in 30 seconds, drop the mic, walk out. Well, that's it. But the other side of the coin is if I'm sitting across the table and I'm listening to Scooter and he's bitching and complaining, and I really think he sounds like a Nancy, I'm gonna call him on it. Like, toughen up,
Don't
Buttercup.
be a Karen.
Toughen up, Buttercup. Right?
Yeah.
You really shouldn't be complaining about that. I know it's something that's under your skin, whatever the case may be. But if on the other side of that, if he's got a point, I'm going to give an amen, right? We're going to chime in and hopefully hash this stuff out and then, put that behind us and move on. So it'll come weekly, right? Every episode we'll have a segment in there, the airing of grievances.
Yeah. So, I mean, and again, this show's to talk about everything great American. You might hear some ice tumbling around in a glass throughout the show, picking up on the mic. Hopefully our editor chooses not to edit those sounds out, but it's important. So, everything about American, so grab yourself a Coke and a smile, or pour yourself a glass of bourbon, light up a cigar, or sit back and enjoy the show.
How do I get started doing voiceovers?
Hi, I'm Ron Allen, owner of Big Voice Productions. You get started in voiceovers with quality training. We've trained over 500 people in the art and business of voiceovers. You can train online or at our studios here in Columbus, and financing options available. Email bigvoiceproductions@gmail.com and let's get you started in voiceovers now. bigvoiceproductions@gmail.com. We teach you everything about voiceovers.
All right. Welcome back. We've got our first guest here on American Exceptionalism, and I'll give you a little backstory about when I first met this individual. Met him about 2 months ago, and he was all excited. Couldn't quite tell what he was all excited about, but one of our mutual friends kind of said, ask him what he's all excited about, and he was about 2 days from then, he was going to go apply for American citizenship. And we all know that this country is very divided at the current time. And I got to tell you, the person we're about to introduce here in a few minutes was so excited to be an American citizen, and probably more excited than most American citizens themselves. And it was so powerful, so moving. And we thought we'd bring him on here as a guest on American Exceptionalism to kind of highlight from a different perspective on somebody who attained their American citizenship, went through the process legally, everything that was involved in that process, and why he was so excited to be donned an American citizen in the end. So we're going to turn it over to El Scorcho here. We're going to ask some questions of Gabe Gradinaro. Sit back, enjoy, and listen.
All right. Gabe, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's our pleasure. It's our honor. Gabe, from what I understand, you are a naturalized citizen to the United States of America, correct?
That is correct, yes. That was the story. It was my ceremony to become a U.S. citizen, the ceremony, the naturalization ceremony.
Okay. And what was that date? How long ago was that?
April 17th.
April 17th of 2021. So this is fresh.
It is.
Okay. And, as Scooter said, this is something you're very, very excited about, correct?
I've waited for this many years. I came to the United States August 6, 2006. It's been 15 years now. So I've waited for it quite a few years. The process is quite long. So I was very excited, yes.
Well, that's awesome. And congratulations on the culmination of a long wait. It's good to see, and it's good to hear, and I'm glad to have you as part of our country.
Thank you very much.
The one thing I love right there?
What's that?
There's only a few dates in everybody's lives that are very important. Birthdays, anniversaries, things like that, maybe birth of a child.
Divorce.
Divorce could be that too. But he knew the exact dates, one, that he came to this country, and two, the date that he became an American citizen. So that's awesome, Gabe.
That's awesome. Very, very, very cool.
Thank you.
Very cool. Well, how about a little background on Gabe? Tell us where you're from, like where you were born. Tell us about your life before becoming a U.S. citizen.
Sure, absolutely. I grew up in a country called Romania. It's in Europe. Bucharest, in the capital. That's where I grew up in. And when I was 17, I applied for an exchange student program, and I got approved. And I decided to take it a chance. My parents thought I was crazy. My friends thought I was crazy. But I was like, I'd like to give it a try. It was a 1-year try. And I chose United States. And it was probably one of the best decisions I've made. Came here, ended up staying for a junior college. And then I went and got a 4-year degree after that. And I got married. I met a beautiful woman. We dated for a while. We were engaged for a while. And then we married. And then the whole process of becoming a U.S. citizen started after that. When you're a student, you are not allowed to apply for citizenship. You have to wait until after. And since then, it's been 7 years. We've just celebrated our 7-year anniversary. So the whole process took about 7 years. And, time flew very fast.
That's great. So it started for you as an exchange student, right? From Romania to the U.S. It's kind of interesting that you say that. When I was actually in middle school, my sister was in high school, and our family took on an exchange student for a year. This girl came from actually a town outside of London, England. So it was kind of neat for me as a youngster to get to see somebody from basically a foreign land. I had never left Ohio at that point. So it was kind of neat to see and experience another person from another culture, especially at a young age. So I can tell you from that perspective, I don't know if you had any U.S. siblings when you came over. I can tell you they probably gained as much from your visit as you did from theirs or from your visit.
That's true. That's true. And I was with a host family in a very small town in a high school of about 30 people. And yeah, I had a lot of fun getting to know the culture and getting to meet new people. Probably my first year is when I really learned English very well, just because I was away from all the Romanian I knew, and I was able to learn a lot of English, and actually helped me a lot in that. So I recommend the exchange student program. I thought it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. It was a great experience.
Now, where did you go? Where did you come to? Where did you spend your time as a exchange student?
I was in Kansas.
Okay, so you came over.
Yep.
Okay, now did you go to regular high school?
I did. I spent my last year as a senior in high school, and then I ended up going to a junior college near Wichita, Kansas, in a town called Hutchinson. And then after that, I moved to Chicago, and I was in Chicago for quite a few years.
You're not in Kansas anymore, right?
Nope.
I'm just going to stick on this high school experience for a minute. Were you like in Romania, were you like all-star gymnast or something? You came to your high school and was like a superstar or anything like that? Were you like a super athlete in Romania, and then when you got to America, you were the number one guy or anything like that?
I played rugby in Romania. I played
Nice.
rugby for about 8 years. So when I moved here, I tried the American football, and I loved it. We did really well that year with the high school. We went and played in the state championship, and I had a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I guarantee you that coach is going, hey, we got some crazy Romanian coming over here. He's supposed to be a good rugby player. I bet you he was excited to have you.
Yeah, I was excited to try new things. So it was nice. It was different putting all the pads, all the equipment on. It was a whole new experience, but it's something that I enjoyed.
Well, that's great. So you say you went out to Kansas, graduated from college, correct?
I did, yes. I went to a junior college in Kansas, and then after that, I moved to Chicago.
Okay, and then once you graduated, you took an employment in Chicago. Is that correct?
I went to a 4-year school in Chicago, and I worked for the college there. I was a science engineer.
Okay.
4 years. When you're an exchange student or an international student, you are not allowed to work outside school. You're not allowed to get any loans. So you pretty much have to find a job on campus and have to work hard to make sure you pay for the school.
But you knew at that time you were going to be on the path to citizenship, right? You knew by the time you got to Kansas, you were going to school, eventually to Chicago. You knew this was what you wanted to do.
Yes, I believe so. I mean, the whole process from being an immigrant to moving to this country, and it's a process of learning to love this place, learning what the country has to offer, learning the people. And the longer you live here, the more you change. It's a slow change. You don't realize it, but you change who you are. You change how you live. And I used to go back every year, every other year to Romania. And every time I went back, I was a little more different. Like people look at me and they're kind of like, you changed a little bit or you speak different. I definitely changed how I dress. There's just so many things that I've changed. And just the longer you're here, the more you're part of it and the more you love it, I think. That was true for me.
Well, that's one thing. Just hearing you speak, what I picked up on is you use the word love. And that's something that's rare these days. You don't hear too many people talk about how much they love this country and how much they love living in this country and enjoying the freedoms of this country. So what is it about America contrasted with Romania? What is the difference between the two that brings you to the point where you're able to say, I love this country and I love living here?
Probably the opportunities that you have here. Romania is a small country, 20 million people, was under communism until 1989 when we got out, and it still has a little bit of that influence. It's a free country now, Romania as well, but as you come here and as you live here for quite a few years, you start to see the freedom and the opportunities that are here. Just the freedom to speak, the freedom to worship, the freedom to make your own choices, but I would say the opportunities is what really makes this country, I would say the greatest country in the world, is just the opportunity to work, to travel, to start your own business. You can do that in literally 2 days, and do all the apply online and get all the licenses and everything you need. It's just an easy process to anybody can become an entrepreneur here. The opportunities to invest in the stock market, where in many other countries it's just so very limited. But the stock exchanges here, you can do that. Just the 401k and the way that builds, if you put a little bit 30 years later, it becomes a lot. And just the many different opportunities that this country has to offer that I've opened my eyes to, and I'm very grateful for that.
Well, that's awesome. And again, I thank you for saying those things, and I thank you for going through the process to do it the right way, to become an American citizen the right way. Now, let's talk a little bit about your family back in Romania. You said back and when you first started, when we started this conversation, you said your parents thought you were crazy wanting to come to America as an exchange student. How do they feel now that you've gone through the process, you've become a U.S. citizen? What's the relationship like now with your parents, your family back home?
My relationship is great. I love my parents. I actually get to FaceTime them 4 or 5 times a week. Not for very long, 15, 20 minutes each time, but they get to see me, I get to see them, and they feel like I'm there with them. So the technology has made the distance so much better and so much easier to communicate. They thought I was crazy because I would leave the house. I mean, if for anybody who's a parent, a mom or a dad, to have your only son leave the house at 17 and go to a new country over the ocean, far away, it was hard for them. It was hard for me, just because my family is very close, and I'm blessed to be raised in a great family where we're all close and spent a lot of time together. So, it was definitely a transition. It's interesting. I did the Ancestry.com test last year. I was just curious to see if there's any. And usually you get a couple percentages where it's like 20% British or 15% that or 20% that, and maybe a majority like your 60% is. My test came back and I was 100% Romanian.
There's no doubt.
No doubt, huh?
Which tells me like I'm the part of the first generation in 300-400 years to take a step, have the courage to say I want a better life. I want to try something new. So yeah, I mean I'm sure it definitely has affected my parents. I know I miss them and they miss me, but yeah. I get to see them every year. They come here every other year, and then I go in the years in between. So I'm actually going to be there this year for Christmas and New Year. They're super excited for that. So I just look forward for that precious time together.
Very good. That's awesome. Very good. Very good. Now, on a side note, has the current virus situation, has that affected your family in overseas or travel? I would assume that it's affected that.
Traveling in Europe is quite close. It's opening a little bit now, but still quite. You have to have the 24 hours before you get on the plane. You have to get a test to make sure you're COVID negative. Both of my parents have COVID. It hit my mom pretty hard. She was kind of 3-4 weeks. She struggled a little bit, but my dad felt like just a good cold. Okay. But they're both okay now. They're both in good health, and I'm thankful for that.
That's very good.
That's awesome.
Well, that's good, Gabe. I'm going to ask you like some stupid questions now. Okay, you're now a U.S. citizen. What's your favorite thing? Like in your free time, what do you do now as an American? How do you spend your pastime, your free time?
I'm an American, but I'm also a married man, so a lot of my free time, I spend time with my wife. We try to go on a date every single week, and just try to find different things to do. We try to take day trips. I like art, so whenever I get to see an art museum, I'm very pleased for that. And then just a good old American burger on a pulled pork sandwich and a good movie, that's cool enough with me.
That's good, man. Are you into American football? Do you go watch games, or do you like baseball? Any sporting events that stand up for you that make it click for you?
Yeah, usually I watch the final game. When it gets to the last 4 teams and then the final championship, I usually like to watch that. I don't watch it regularly just because I don't want to put the time in it.
Yeah.
But I do like to watch replays and reviews. Actually, this weekend we went to see the Monster Jam here in Columbus.
Oh, good
Big truck.
stuff. Yeah.
That was the first time. That was a lot of fun. And we try to do different things. But I like to watch the final games for sure. I don't want to miss a Super Bowl or the final championships. I like to watch those.
Yeah. Now, this is an Olympic year, summer games in Tokyo. You got gymnastics. You got Romania versus the U.S. Who do you cheer for?
I cheer for both.
Yeah.
I'm a U.S. citizen, but it doesn't change where I come from.
Yeah.
I love my heritage, and I think one of the beautiful things about this country is that you have people that moved over here from all over the world, and they bring their background, they bring their culture, they bring their stories. So I would say, I'm a mix, and that's part of being an immigrant. My kids are probably be much more American. My grandchildren are be even more than that. So it just takes 2-3 generations until the integration is full. But yeah, I cheer for both.
That's good. Good stuff.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah. Well, Gabe, again, thank you for doing it the right way. I know we have many, many stories of people that come in and illegally and hide and over a decade or so of hiding and running or whatever, just kind of assimilate into the country. But then we have people that do it the right way and go through the legal process. And from start to finish, how long was it for you?
It took about 7-8 years. So I got married. I finished college. I got married, and then I applied for the first green card. It takes about a year to get. It's good for 2 years that you have to apply for a second green card, and that one expires. It's good for 10 years. And during that process, you apply for citizenship. So it takes about 5 to 7 years, the whole process, from the moment you're eligible. I would say somewhere between $4,000 to $6,000 for the whole entire thing. And you also have to have a sponsor, somebody who vouches for you here. And I think that's hard for a lot of people who come here and they don't have that.
Yeah.
Because I think it makes the process a lot harder for them. But I was blessed enough and honored enough to have a couple people who vouched for me and said, this is a good guy. I'll vouch for him, and that helped me in my process. And then when I got married to my wife, she becomes your sponsor, and that made the process a lot easier. But it takes 5 to 7 years or so.
Not 2 days, like you were talking about being able to start a business.
Nope.
Yeah, it's a little more long and drawn out.
Yeah.
Now, so you got to the end of your process. How did they notify you that, hey, you were going to be sworn in? Did you get a letter or a phone call? How'd that go?
You do. So you go, once you apply, you wait a few months, and then you get called to the interview. And that's where you have there's like an English test and a history test. And then you get to sit face to face with an officer. 15 to 30 minutes is not very long. And then after that, they give you a letter of approval, and then there's a letter that comes after that to invite you to the ceremony, and that's probably about a couple months in between.
Okay, they gave you a history test. Is that right?
That's true.
What kind
it's more like a history, geography, English. There's like a mix of different questions that they ask.
What kind of questions they ask you on the history test? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, sometimes they ask you about the president. Sometimes they ask you about the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. Sometimes they'll ask you what's one of the 2 longest rivers in the United States, or and there's some simple questions as well as how many states are here, and why are there 50 stars on the flag, and why are there 13 stripes, and like there's different questions like that. But they do prepare you for it, so it's not a hard test or anything like that. I think just the emotion behind it and the expectancy and the weight just makes it memorable.
Sure. So on the on the day that you were sworn in, how many people were in the room with you? Like how many other people were there to be sworn in as Americans that stood with alongside you?
Don't call me on it. So this is during COVID, but I bet it was about 150 to 200 people.
They had you in a big room, 150 people together, stand up and raise your right hand, that sort of thing?
That's correct. That's correct. And there were, if I remember right, I think we were there from 27 different countries, from age 17 to age 73.
Man, that's awesome.
So
yeah, you do
huge diversity.
You take the oath, you get sworn in. Describe the moment when it's over. Is it a lot of cheering and jumping up and down? How was that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are doing the cheering. I'm kind of more of an introvert guy, so I just remember walking out of the building and just looking at the sky, and I just took a big breath, and I said, okay.
That's awesome. Took a big breath of freedom right there. That's what it is.
That's exactly right.
I'm finally there, so that was a good feeling to have.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Gabe, I congratulate you. And again, thank you for doing it the right way. And I congratulate you on your American citizenship. That's a very special thing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Wrapping it up here, Gabe, I'm a fan of art, but I'm also like to call myself a patriot. My kids often call me Captain America. And, some of the artwork I have a reproduction of the Gettysburg Address. I have a reproduction of the Declaration of Independence. And less than 24 hours ago, a friend of mine was kind of looking at it, and he was admiring it and talking about how much he loved it. And he kind of turned and looked over his shoulder, and he goes, I wish this stuff still mattered. And I can tell you from this conversation today, without question, it matters to you. And I applaud you for getting your citizenship and just putting your nose down and working hard and to provide, for you and your family. So it's been a joy here talking with you today. And all our listeners out there, hopefully you'll...
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. We'll talk soon, Gabe.
All right, Gabe, take care, buddy.
Thank you. Best of the best. Take care.
All right.
See you.
Did you know you could earn great money recording voiceovers at home? Hi, this is Ron Allen, owner of Big Voice Productions in Columbus. I teach private voiceover lessons either in my Columbus studio or online. Learn how to use your voice for radio and TV, animation and gaming, audiobooks, and more. Call me direct, 614-404-0359. That's 614-404-0359. We teach you everything about voiceovers at Big Voice Productions.
It's that time of day for airing of grievances.
With the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
All right, this episode of Airing Grievances is brought to you by Denny's.
Helping people shit themselves since 1970.
I like a heaping hoping of stomach cramps with a side of shit my draws.
Booyah. Yeehaw! Jester's dead.
All right, so Scooter is up. It's his time. He's got 5 minutes to bitch about anything that's stuck in his crawl. So what do you got today, Scoots?
All right, I'm going to go back in time, back to November 2020. And this has divided our country. We all know that what happened in 2020, early 2020, we got introduced to this term COVID. And it did a lot of things to this country. It polarized this country on a number of different fronts. It divided our country. It further pushed the haves and the have-nots to opposite sides of the equation. And then following at the end of 2020, we had this wonderful thing called an election.
Fake news.
Yeah. So I'm going to play a soundbite here.
Let me start the clock.
From our president. Oh, I got 5 minutes?
You have 5 minutes.
Hit that start button.
Get it going.
330 30 330 or 303 330 or BOO. Wait. But you got it.
That saves billions of gallons of gasoline. I mean, billions of $2.3 billion worth of, $500 billion in savings and 2-point-something billion metric tons of CO2 going in the air. Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole out of $1.6 trillion worth. $1.4 trillion worth. Out of $1.4 billion. It's hard to even say it, it's so much. And by the way, it's cost a lot of money. It cost about $740 billion over 10 years. Now is the time to...
Yeah, so enough of that nonsense. I mean, what's billion? It just drives me nuts. Again, that election polarized our country. There's a lot of people out there that think there's shenanigans that went on with that election, I mean, myself included. And, it just is sad. It just ticks me off because, one, that soundbite, none of the media outlets will play that. And as an American, you want to respect democracy, you want to respect the process, and you want to respect the office of the president. But at some levels in November of 2020, I was just going, there was some shenanigans going on there. And just makes me wonder, and part of my binge watching on Netflix, picked up a show called Narcos, and basically they fixed the election. The narcotics traffickers had collusion going with the Mexican government, and they fixed the election. And basically, you could see a lot of similarities possibly as what happened in the down in Mexico in the 1980s, and then you fast forward to 2020. A lot of computer manipulation and then destroying of the ballots. And, you know, as I've said to you many times, El Scorcho, Christmas Day, Nashville, Tennessee, I mean, somebody blows up basically a half city block. And
kind of convenient, wasn't it?
Yeah, they went through it seems like they went through every, with no intentions of hurting anybody or anything, but they wanted to destroy something. So it just makes you wonder. And I hate creeping into these conspiracy theory type stuff, but, you know, it really just eats at my crawl sometimes. And, you know, and I've said it many times to meet people I know, in about 20, 25 years, somebody in Hollywood's going to make a movie about it. And we're going to get the real truth of what happened. And
I'll be able to make a buck off of this.
And I'm not a sore loser as a Trump supporter. I did vote for President Trump. But I heard a lot of people out there that supported a lot of the ideals and everything that President Trump believed in, but they didn't like him.
He was nasty.
They didn't like his haircut.
He was rude.
Yeah, his comb over and everything. And come on, people, this is not something, you know, this is the greatest country on this earth. And the President Trump was fighting for everything we believe in.
He wasn't nice.
And, you know,
he was so
rude.
Just,
yes, dear. But,
talk about that's some serious shenanigans.
Yeah, but
what did he say? 1 billion trillion, something like that.
Like, how did this guy get? That's in office?
That's like preschool math.
Yeah,
I want a billion trillion.
Yeah, infinity.
M&Ms.
I want infinity money. And again, I'm not a sore loser, but you would have just at least to have some faith in the process that it played out, and we lost a fair fight. And there's this little doubt.
There's nothing wrong with losing a fair fight, as long as the fight is fair. When there's shenanigans, you kind of can't help walk away and say, seriously? This is who you guys wanted? I mean, this guy's a clown.
Yeah, clown. The only thing missing is the red shoes and the makeup. And maybe a wig. But so that's Flippo. That's my airing of grievances. And we'll take what we've got with President Biden.
What?
I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, that's my airing of grievances. Scooter, out.
26 seconds left. So that's it. Scooter, first episode of Airing of Grievances. He's got a lot on his mind. I can't say I disagree. Airing of Grievances.
I started Folds of Honor above my garage 13 years ago because 90% of spouses and children of killed or disabled U.S. service members receive no federal education assistance. Our mission has never wavered. We honor their sacrifices by educating their legacy.
Thank you for supporting the Folds of Honor.
Thank you for supporting the Folds of Honor.
Thanks to you, I will be a construction engineer,
an elementary school teacher.
Thank you for helping me fulfill my dream of going to med school.
We're able to award these scholarships because patriots like you refuse to turn your back on the cost of freedom. Join the Folds of Honor Squadron today. Your $13 a month will help ensure we never turn military families away. This is your call to duty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for supporting the Folds of Honor.
Thanks to people like you, I know my dad is not forgotten.